immersion erodes the human connection that makes tourism in Jamaica so special. It diminishes the perceived value of local experts, tour guides, cultural interpreters, historians, and so on, who will bring intangible value through their lived experiences and ability to storytell, right? AI might also unintentionally promote certain cultural elements like music, dance, and cuisine purely for their so-called Instagram appeal, disconnecting them from the actual cultural context. And over time, these pieces of culture might be cherry-picked, repackaged, stripped of their meaning, and the subtle commodification may not immediately be visible, but it can erode the cultural authenticity in the long run. And then the competition begins. So with tools that can generate polished marketing content at scale, every destination risks sounding similar. Seemingly perfect beaches, universally friendly people, vaguely authentic experiences, right? When every tourist board can produce AI-polished narratives, yes, that's right, it might become harder for Jamaica to stand out. And over time, this narrative homogenization can erode genuine destination branding and reduce the uniqueness that drives tourism choices. AI-generated fake reviews and testimonials can flood travel platforms, and in fact, they already are, making it harder for visitors to distinguish between genuine guest experiences and synthetic ones. This erosion of trust can lead travelers to lose confidence in booking systems and official tourism board endorsements, negatively impacting legitimate tourism businesses. Local tourism boards may find it increasingly difficult to maintain a consistent positive brand identity. Rogue actors, including competing destinations or malicious lobbyists, could systematically produce negative or misleading content.
Today I am announcing a state of emergency for Jamaica. Creatures from the deep are threatening everyone and everything that comes close. The beaches are not safe. The land is not safe. Do not come to Jamaica if you value your lives.
Sandals Jamaica sale is now on. Visit sandals.com or call 1-800-SANDALS.
This one is a little bit of fun. Demonstrates how hidden messages can be encoded in AI-generated imagery. This is obviously a fake image. In fact, this guy has his butt out right here. But if you squint your eyes or view the message from afar, something else appears. Go ahead and squint now and raise your hand when you see it. You got it? Pretty crazy, right? That's right. So let's briefly discuss some potential mitigations. I won't say that these are comprehensive or bulletproof because, frankly, the entire world is going to need to go through growing pains in order to really understand the implications of the technology. From hotel managers to community tourism operators down to the taxi drivers, increased AI literacy is crucial. Understanding the capabilities, biases, limitations of generative AI, it enables stakeholders to harness its strengths and thoughtfully avoid its pitfalls. Anything that supports widespread comprehension of its capabilities will help mitigate the negative effects. Imagery and other content can have a coded, verified, authentic seal with a value that can be referenced in a trusted system to differentiate registered content from generated content, helping governments and institutions control their own narrative. Because AI evolves rapidly, any sort of related regulations are going to need to be living documents. That means that something like a multi-stakeholder committee where you've got government representatives, industry leaders, tech experts, and so on, cultural custodians, they should review and keep up to date on the latest developments in Gen AI and update the policies ensuring that the regulations remain relevant and responsive. In the long term, climate change is going to be significantly accelerated by Gen AI. There's several companies that are building data centers at an entirely new scale. There's a new data center, for example, being built by Oracle, has over 130,000 of the latest AI chips, and it's powered by 3 nuclear reactors. And that is a single one of these new data centers, right? There's hundreds of billions of dollars that are being invested in this worldwide in order to make this happen. So the world's energy generation is growing at a massive rate to accommodate this new technology. And so any plans that have been made to handle the increased acidification of the oceans, rising sea levels, increased weather volatility and strength, these will need to be considered sooner, since humanity is collectively throwing more energy at this new type of technology than anything that came before it. Of course, I wouldn't be much of an entrepreneur if I didn't mention my own company. My team and I are bringing all of our years of AI and cloud expertise together to create the most unique and expansive set of tools designed to let you harness the power of Gen AI with ease and to deploy it at scale with a clear understanding of how it impacts your business. So the cost of Gen AI is actually driven by its power consumption. And that means that each and every time you use it, it has a subtly different price tag. So this makes it a nightmare for companies to build and deliver products that leverage it, since it becomes extremely challenging to understand what's happening to your margins at scale. So when you need to pay for AI, that's when you come to PayI. I'll end by saying that I'm extremely grateful to Jamaica and to Donovan in particular, for the opportunity to speak in front of all of you today. This is one of the most beautiful countries in the world, and so it would be strange if I didn't make it dance or something. So what's interesting is that if you pause this anywhere, it's going to look like a Jamaican vista on any single frame of this video. No matter where you pause. All right. Thank you all so much for your time. I'm David Tepper, CEO of PayI. Great to talk to you.
Any question, anything that resonated? Am I the only nerd in here? Is this what's going on? Prof? Which one? With the sea creatures, or do you want to see? Okay, if you could, yeah.
Yeah, I can bring up those. Let me just get the microphone. Here we go. All right. Okay, let's go over here. So the context, so you understand, is this. Yeah, this is when Trump visited Jamaica. You don't remember? So the context is the ease with which you can generate new content to either promote or scare away. You all right? All right. All right. We good? Okay. Here we go.
Are those people riding a sea lion?
Yeah, looks like it.
For a limited time only, you can ride any of our lovely sea creatures.
Sandals Jamaica sale is now on. Visit sandals.com or call 1-800-SANDALS.
I did have fun making these. Yeah. This was the other one they wanted you to see. Oops.
Today I am announcing a state of emergency for Jamaica. Creatures from the deep are threatening everyone and everything that comes close. The beaches are not safe. The land is not safe. Do not come to Jamaica if you value your lives.
Sandals Jamaica sale is now on. Visit sandals.com or call 1-800-SANDALS.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Donovan, if you could just use the mic so that we can, yeah.
I think that mic was the one that ran out of battery. While that one's coming, I made this video, but I didn't put it into the slide deck. You guys have all that's okay. That's all right. You guys have all seen this stuff before, but this is for our 200-year-old man in the audience here. I got something special.
So now it's incredibly easy to take just about any picture of anyone on the internet and make them say or do anything that I want.
I'm David. In a way, I'm glad that you've used the negative side of generative AI to make the point. And I say negative because whilst AI is such a powerful evolution of our time, it can be used nefariously in very aggressive ways, and particularly in our industry, there is significant competition from all parts of the world, and you could see easily how nefarious attempts can be used or AI can be used for nefarious attempts on destinations at all levels. And similarly, you can do the same, but we'll rise above that. But I raise the point because as we discuss this topic, I think we're all eager to dive into the world of AI because there's so much advantages, and there's so much simplification and flattening of processes, systems, and creation of efficiencies. But at the same time, the dangers are there, and I don't think there is enough collaboration and expression of some of those dangers too often when we talk about AI. And I think it's important, and I'm glad that you went there today with some of what you've presented. But I urge my colleagues and the people in the room to understand that while this is a very powerful tool and obviously the next evolution of time, that how it's used and can be misused should be also studied and understood.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree completely. Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks, Donovan, for raising that, because that brings the issue of public policy into sharp focus and how governments are going to be guided to develop regulatory and legislative arrangements to protect the rights of individuals, and particularly to protect the data itself. You don't want to get to where you're a Trumpist and decide how it is to be used, but you could get there, and of course it depends on what kind of policy architecture that you develop. So one of the things that has to be very clear from the beginning is a greater sense of immersion on the part of the public in this whole matter, one, but also in governance, because it's governance that's going to determine whether, in the end, AI becomes chaotic and destructive, as you say, or it becomes a source of great public and national good, which is really where we want to go, which is the point I made, I believe, in terms of that simulation that must take place. Because what we have discovered is the absolute infinite potential of this technology to literally eviscerate much of what, if not all of what, we've known in the past. And then, Donovan, it asks the other question of us: content. How do we now generate our own content? And the constancy of that insertion of our content in that space to literally dominate, so it becomes literally a war, a war of content. And so the management of it, that's the issue. That's a real issue. And I'd love to see a discussion at another point in time where we look at public policy development in relation to AI and the cognitive systems in general.
Thank you all so much.
So first of all, I'm not into the dibby fenke clap, okay? Because from what I heard, really when I gave David the opportunity to do his last words and he said, no, I'm good, what he should have said was, thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Yeah. What he just did and what he just showed us in a very short space of time, he literally took a very complex presentation and he made it engaging, he made it digestible. Number one, I have a question. Is Omar still in the room? Omar, so about riding the sea lions, the limited time offer, does that happen during Christmas or what? Only for Christmas. In all seriousness though, thank you for that. Thank you for connecting the dots. And there's a deeper conversation that actually has to be had outside of creating content and even policy. It is actually going back and having a country where people are not too quick to click and share without confirming. Because no matter what we do, as long as the machine understands based on what he's saying, the pattern, they know what's going to get the clicks. They know what's going to get the shares. They are going to do this more and more if they know that we are a nation of people, whether it's Jamaica or the world, who just go, what? Share. And that's what we've been seeing. And so if we are to, so what I'm saying is we have to balance this. While we're doing all of this on this side, we need to also make sure that we're creating individuals who are not only AI literate, but individuals who stop and ask themselves, this sounds kind of weird. Let us go and see if anything else is available for us to confirm. I have so many things that I would love to say just about you and that presentation. I personally enjoyed it. I am a nerd, and I believe that when you are in a room with people who know more than you, you are absolutely to absorb it all and see where you can make the necessary application. Thank you for using our country because it helped to really drive your points home. Another round of applause for David Tepper. Fantastic. Oh my God. And it is a perfect segue into our very first panel because the very first panel is about AI and tourism, challenges, opportunities, and the way forward. Great. We're excited. Whole heap of opportunities, but what are the risks? What are the challenges? How can we manage them? We have a fantastic panel that will be moderated by our esteemed Professor Lloyd Waller, who I will ask all our moderators to sit right next to the lectern. On the panel, we have Dr. Donovan Johnson, Assistant Professor, Associate Director at Sierra FIU. Welcome, sir. You may take your seat. We welcome Dr. Kerry Wallace, Executive Director, Tourism Enhancement Fund, or TEF. And we also welcome Mr. Donovan White, Director, Tourism, Jamaica Tourist Board. And Prof is going to sit right here. I know that is the 300-year-old brain working right there. Thank you so very much. So, Prof, I hand it over to you. And Dr. Mr. Omar Robinson, General Manager, Sandals Royal Plantation. I do apologize. I'm speaking it into being. So, so I have Doc and I have Mr. on. Okay. Doctor, we shall put some respect on your name. We're going to be talking about AI reshaping industries, communication, operations. What are the challenges? What are the opportunities? Prof, over to you.
Thank you very much, everyone. So we have today 4 persons who I know quite well. I must tell you, it was a stress trying to identify local talent with the knowledge of AI. You know, I had to pull on, but I know Kerry is a big AI person, and I know Donovan as well, by virtue of where Donovan used to work. And then the other Donovan now was a student at the University of West Indies in the Department of Government, but he's now at FIU University, and he's the Deputy Director for a center that deals with AI. So I deal with AI. So you have to. Oh, go ahead. Oh, we have the video for you, Minister. All right. So I'm going to ask each panelist to just introduce themselves. You know, Donovan will be talking about just the recent development in AI. Donovan, Dr. Johnson will be talking about the development of AI and how it will affect the tourism sector. Dr. Wallace will be talking about the value of the AI. AI in general in terms of the sector, Donovan, the good-looking Donovan, according to him, will talk about the transformations in marketing, and then Dr. Omar Robinson will be talking about the future of AI and the tourism sector. So we'll just start with the not so good-looking Donovan. Go ahead, Donovan.
Hi, morning again, everyone. As Lloyd said, I'm Donovan Johnson. I am a professor at Florida International University. I am also the associate director of CIRTA, an institute, the Institute of Trustworthy AI, we call it. I actually also serve on the Hewlett Advisory Board at FIU with David, where we discuss, amongst many things, AI and its implications. And so I think, David, thank you for having touched upon some of these very important things so far, so I won't distill many of them again. One of the things I would like to say and point out is that, and we raised it in the conversation earlier, is that there are some fears around AI, and I want to start there, especially around this particular sector. And there is this famous quote going around that AI won't take your job, but someone who knows how to use AI will, right? And I think it's important to understand that the fear around the displacement that AI potentially brings is something that is somewhat overstated and exaggerated. And that's a point I'd like to start. Because then it helps us to focus on the benefits that AI can bring. Because there is one dimension of AI that looks on AI as an advisor to humans. How can AI provide advice to us? And there's one dimension that looks on AI as a partner. How can we coexist to enhance human capabilities and how AI can work alongside human beings? And that's the part I would like us to focus on, right? I will leave the good-looking Donovan to talk about the challenges. I like to be the bearer of good news, right? So in the tourism industry is ripe for the embracing of the evolution of artificial intelligence in many, many ways. Tourism is an industry that serves human psyche at its very base. It's how you attract the mind to a destination, to an experience. And AI has the capability to curate experiences that are so specified and designed and specific to human desires. And if we think about the application of AI in that way, then we're able to leverage all of its benefits and its advantages. The second point I want to raise is that there is something for everyone on the tourism value chain. AI brings something to everyone. It's not just about, I know we have spoken a lot about the tourist coming, but it has benefits even for the line staff to enhance their work and to make them love their work more in ways that can help them to contribute to the tourism product that we so love in this country and that we all cherish. There is something in AI for the person who works at the front desk. There is something in AI for everyone on the value chain. And if we think about it in that comprehensive way, we're not just thinking about utilizing AI to make bookings more seamless and to curate experiences for the visitor, but how can we use it to enhance the lives of the people that we so serve, right? And that's important in our context, especially given all that's happening in the tourism industry. We need not mention it, right? But there is so much happening, and we can think about how we leverage this tool to also enhance people's lives and livelihoods. And I will touch on one challenge that I think the digital divide that exists in our country and exists across the region, and not just this region, is one of the major challenges. How do we get people to become digital natives so that they become conversant with technology, that they're able to utilize the technology in the way that enhance themselves, the work that they do, their families, and so forth? That's a major, major point at which we must start. How do we enable people to utilize the technologies that they already have access to contribute to the digital evolution that we're now experiencing. Because there's one thing that I can tell you for certain. AI is here to stay. It's not going anywhere. It's going to continue to impact our lives in groundbreaking ways. And if we do not tap into the ways in which we can leverage it, we're going to miss the train, right? The good thing, as Lloyd will tell you, that Jamaica in our region is at an advanced stage when it comes to digital transformation, right? And that's one of the things I love about what we're doing, is that we're compared to our neighbors, we're advanced in digital transformation, but there's so much more to be done, right? And so that's one point, and Minister touched on it, legislation, very important. We don't want to find ourselves at a place where the technology is moving beyond the legislation, and the technology is here but we can't use it because there's no space for it to be applied in the way that we want it to be applied. All right? I'll leave it there for now.
Thank you very much, Donovan. You know, I just wanted to just make one other note as it relates to the value of AI, and it's a position that not many people. As I said, I've been studying technology for over 200 years of knowledge of humans in human interaction with technology, and in particular the relationship between technology adaptation and small island developing states. And this is the first type of technology, AI, that is not doesn't create dependencies on other technologies, other first world support systems. You know, normally from as far back as slavery, when they used to come and set up the mills and the different apparatuses for slavery, it used to be dependent on the British experts coming to Jamaica, setting it up, and if something goes wrong with it, they would have to come to Jamaica and do so. And it's the same after that with other types of technologies, tractors, you know, building technologies that we buy. We don't have we don't teach it to have the capabilities here to support it. So when we buy it overseas, it comes with that support, which is a dependency. AI is the first technology that humanity has made that is a more democratic type of technology. You know, it's accessible by all who can have access to it. It's not complicated or technical like former technologies, and you don't have that dependency, which means that it is the value of it is substantive. And you know, I'm just following on the positives of it in that regard, but there are some negatives which Kieran will talk about, some challenges that we may have to deal with in terms of inculcating AI.
There's one thing I'd like to say before we move on. In my previous life, many moons ago, I worked. I was the lead data scientist at the Ministry of National Security, and one thing that I took from that role was the importance of data and the lack of it in our space. And I see many of the heads of many of the tourism agencies here, and I would like to underscore very importantly the importance of collecting and warehousing data. It is the only way that we'll be able to leverage the true benefit of AI. One of the challenges that we're facing, and I'm currently working on a federal grant where we're trying to collect data from different cultures, from different spaces across the world to train AI models so that when you go to ChatGPT and ask it something, it is giving you a culturally sensitive response. It's not giving you the response of the white narrative that exists, or the predominantly white narrative that exists, right? And the responsibility is on us to make sure that we collect and warehouse that data in ways that we can utilize that data to train these AI models so that they can be useful to us in the ways that we want it to be useful. And so that's very important. That's one of the things we can do at this point.
All right, thank you. Good morning, everyone. I'm one of the persons that are just super excited about AI and the potential and opportunities for Jamaica. Why? Because Jamaica should be developed by now, based on the resources that we have, based on the location that we have in the Americas. We're the third largest English-speaking country in the Americas. The Caribbean has the bluest waters in all of the world. The Caribbean is the #1 cruise destination on planet Earth. Jamaica is one of the most beautiful islands on planet Earth. And so from a tourism perspective, what has been in our way of getting to that promised land has been a lot of artificial barriers. It has been a lot of lack of knowledge, lack of power of the people. And here comes AI. Knowledge is power. And it's democratized knowledge to where every single person with a smartphone in their hand. Do you know which country has the highest number of mobile phones per capita in the Caribbean? Jamaica. So here we have the ability to access this power that now gives power to the people who are living on a land that's the most beautiful on our planet. You see where I'm getting at here? The opportunity to use it in the right way to convert this amazing resource that we've been blessed with to wealth is an industry called tourism. It is where people freezing somewhere now, gray skies and a concrete jungle, save up their money, take their time off, jump on a plane to come here to spend a week experiencing what we have been blessed with. And so before, when there were barriers to getting to that market, I remember 20 years ago, Omar, we had to, all right, I will go back to 200, but 20 years ago, when we had to market our small hotel banner, we had to get on a plane and go to ITB and World Travel Market and make contracts with tour operators, and tour operators had a whole slew of travel agents and had contracts with the airlines and all kind of juggling and up and down before we got one visitor in our properties. Today, AI and technology overall has just cut out, not all, but a lot of those middle people. And we're getting visitors directly from us being with our smartphones, taking content or a video or whatever. It's getting to the eyes of our market instantly. And so it's opened up doors, especially for a country like Jamaica. And if we wake up more Jamaicans to not just understand the opportunity that they now have, that they never had before, that putting man in priority. How can we have more upskilling, training, letting them realize every craft market, vendor, everybody who provides something of value, how can we get them to use this tool now to get to the eyes of the market rather than the old way of reliance on middle people? You go to every craft market now, them cost the duty free in there and them say payola system, and but you now have access. You can get your products on the eyes of the visitor before they even arrive. So it's opening up doors, and the big question mark I have, the big concern is just whether that wave will go over our heads or we will rise up to it so that we can benefit from that abundance of the flow of opportunity. And I think as government agents and stakeholders, it's our responsibility to put a lot of effort in that. And a forum like this is an excellent one of trying to bring to the awareness of every person, especially in the tourism space, of the opportunity that they now have from artificial intelligence. I'll stop there and allow the others, but happy to come back to discuss it some more. Thank you.
Mics have a mind of their own today. Need some AI training for the mics. Yeah. Morning, everyone. I'm going to start my introduction or my thought from a slightly different angle. And bear with me, it's probably part of my DNA. And so AI is, everybody has said what AI is, and no disagreement there. However, I believe it is important to continue to underscore that the evolution of AI doesn't happen by itself. And I want to take our minds back to 2001, where Jamaica started on the journey of understanding the use of mobile technology. And through that journey, over time, began to experience 1G, which is GPRS, very little data. 2G, again, very little data, data enough for SMS messaging. Then we got to 3G. We were able to use a little bit of video, a little bit more data. But then the consumption is like opening an highway. You make an highway, more cars will drive. You went to 4G. And when 5G came about in the evolution of data, the designers of data technology said that that was it in terms of the evolution or growth of data, because the capacity of 5G allowed for full transmission of video. Now we have satellite transmission of data. So we've gone to a whole nother level of evolution of access. Because without access, there's no AI. That's the point I'm making. You can't access data by way of trafficking data, then there's no AI. And so the importance in the comment I'm making is to our policymakers. As you look at the governance framework around AI and how AI is used or misused within our society, we also have to demand greater stability, efficiency, and sufficiency of delivery of data to the people of Jamaica, to do what my friend Kerry is saying, because without data, there's no AI, and therefore the evolution is stalled, or could be stalled. And so I come at that from the, forgive me for going to some notes I have here. The tourism today faces extremely stiff challenges, and particularly challenging the area of competition. When I joined the tourism industry 8 years ago, there were probably about 125 countries that were actively marketing tourism or marketing destination for tourists to travel to. Today, there is about 205. Next year is probably going to be closer to 270, which means almost all the countries in the world have decided that tourism and destination marketing is an economic value to their society. And so being able to market your destination can no longer become a laborious process of 3 months, 6 months, 8 months to deliver campaigns, to create messaging, to create videos, to create images. And so we now operate in a space that is, I don't know if super nimble describes it, but we are on a knife's edge of getting to the consumer, because at the end of the day, the consumer is not waiting on you to decide what you want to tell them to make a decision as to where they go next. And that is the change in the conundrum that AI and the presentation of more data has caused in our industry. It has created a space where You cannot have downtime. You cannot take 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days, a week, a month to make a decision to say yes or say no. Because that may be the decision that decides whether or not you make 7% or you make minus 7% growth. It's as simple as that. And so the impact of AI, we've identified probably about 6 key areas from a marketing perspective that AI is has easily democratized or created more opportunities. Hyper-personalization. Simply put, it allows the visitor to be for the destination to hyper-personalize their message to just about anybody across the world. If you can think it, AI will figure it out, and if AI figures it out, they can create a message that is going to talk to you directly. Data-driven decision making. Nothing we do today anymore is because we kiss our finger and put it in there and see which way the wind is blowing. It has to be based on data. And if the data doesn't support it, 9 out of 10 chances we're not going to do it. Efficient advertising spend. And efficient here doesn't mean that you spend less. It means that you get more for what you spend. And that's it's an important point to make, because sometimes you get the question, well, with all this data and all this AI and all this internet stuff, you don't need the budget you have. Oh, I need more, because I'm making more decisions every day. Before I was making 1 decision a month on content. Now I'm making 3 decisions a day on content, which means I'm making 90 decisions a month instead of 1. And every one of those decisions have a cost. So it's not about the spending less. It's about determining what gives you greater value so that you get greater efficiency. Storytelling and content creation. We saw what David did today with content that he probably just did last night while he was having a scoop of Devon House ice cream. Exactly. There you go. Quite easy to do. But again, content is king, is the cliche. But content is also very dangerous, or can be very dangerous. And I always, when we talk about content, I always make that point. Real-time adaptability. I can shift my mechanisms day to day, depending on what I'm saying, who I'm saying it to, and where I want it to reach. It's as simple as that. And lastly, and most importantly, brand reputation and sentiment analysis. Something some of us who are a little older, like me, like Lloyd, used to call research. It now has fancy name, sentiment analysis. Am I right or wrong, sir? Says by the professor. But I leave it there for now, but stew on that because I think the conversation will evolve.
Thank you very much, Donovan, for that quite stimulating presentation. We now move on to Omar, who will tell us about what's next.
Yes, thank you very much. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Omar Robinson, and I am the General Manager here at Sandals Royal Plantation, and I'm also the Chairman for the Knowledge Network within the Tourism Linkages Network. Now, thank you for the opportunity to share insights on the future potential of artificial intelligence in Jamaica's vibrant tourism sector. And I think while Caribbean tourism, a lot of it is still humanized because the customer wants that human experience. They want that touchy-feely aspect of it. There is still a lot more left on the table with incorporating technology into our operations. And this is where, you can have more personalization being done, which is what today's customer wants, a more customized experience. They want personalization. Can be a cookie cutter experience, or it shouldn't be a cookie cutter experience. And I think the larger chains more or less understand this, and especially my company understands this. You know, as such, you know, we have started with the introduction of many forms of improved technology and AI. And you know, it's for some of the smaller hotels, the smaller tourism operators, that's where the challenge lies. That you know, they need to jump on board. It will only work to enhance, you know, their tourism product. And this, I'm sending it out there as a challenge, especially to the smaller operators. Get on board, get some form of AI, go, you know, get the knowledge, see where you can incorporate. You maybe can't incorporate everything all at once, but you know, you can do it on a scale basis so that your customers today, even the customer. I remember I had a customer who at my former job, they came to Jamaica to a Miss, what's her name? Miss Brown's down in Treasure Beach that she got the room. And this is somebody who has her own shoe line in New York and own a villa at the hotel. But she wanted a customized experience where she got on to Miss B's. It was Miss B's, and Miss B's have a little B&B down on the south coast where Miss B use water, put the pot on the water on the stove to make coffee. Miss B don't have a coffee pot, you know. But and she was able to tell me all of this thing. But it's the power of technology why she was able to get all that information. So there are a lot more opportunities, and you know, I'm encouraging our tourism operators to you know, jump on board, utilize the power of AI. As Dr. Donovan said, you know, it's not AI that's going to take the jobs. Jobs are always going to evolve. It's the people who know how to operate the AI and leverage it to their advantage. Those are the jobs that will you know, that's very profound. Those people will get the jobs because there is no stopping. I remember when the scientific calculator came in and everybody thought, yes, it's going to do this and it go. Oh no, me can't use the scientific calculator. But there are people who know how to do it. So it's just fear of the unknown and us not opening up. It's true, it's us not opening up to take advantage of all the, you know, the wonderful things that can come about. So today I'll discuss how we can leverage AI to create more personalized guest experiences. Now, one is through AI chatbots and virtual concierges. Now, again, you'd find a lot more of the larger companies, larger operators have chatbots. Smaller operators, you need to jump on board. Now, imagine AI, even an AI-powered chatbot that can respond to customers in Jamaican dialect and other languages. So that's an area of opportunity there. This could provide real-time recommendations for local attractions, help with dinner reservations at authentic Jamaican jerk restaurants, or personalized spa treatments. I tell you, everybody wants a personalized experience. Everybody wants to come ride the sea lions. I'm telling you. All right. So AI helps to create these guest profiles so you can successfully cater to the guests. You know, and help to enhance their vacation. As Donovan would say, in marketing, there's the opportunities for dynamic pricing and promotion. So AI can analyze historical booking patterns and external data, flight availability, festival weather, all those things to offer dynamic pricing. And you know what dynamic pricing does for your bottom line? Because just like how the airlines do it, no two persons pay the same price for that seat. And if you don't grab it when it comes, you may get it for $20 more, or $20 less, or $100 more. All right? So hotels and tourism operators can analyze vast amounts of data, including market demand, competitor pricing, and customer behavior to adjust room rates and their rates for their offerings in real time. Key benefits of AI-driven dynamic pricing: maximizing your revenue and profitability, gaining a competitive edge, enhance revenue management, and you know, and you can also throw in your value addeds for, you know, to enhance early booking. Now, there's a lot of operational efficiencies which can take place which can be, you know, implemented due to AI. Predictive maintenance, where AI-powered predictive maintenance help properties anticipate and prevent equipment failure, reducing downtime and maintenance cost. And we know in the hotels, there's always something breaking down. There is always, it's just the nature of the business. As a hotel manager, we spend time outing fires because there's always something coming up. So if we can predict, you know, when something is likely to take place, one of these mishaps, we can ensure that, you know, we reduce that and reduce the inconvenience to our customers. Staffing optimization. All right, AI can predict, you know, you look at occupancy rates, you can predict when you need which staff, you know, or if you need a specific group of staffing to be brought in for, you know, an event, so that you have the right people at the right time when the customers need it. There is front desk automation. As Donovan said, every area of the hotel can be used. Through the AI-powered chatbots, virtual assistants, which can help to automate check-ins, check-outs, guest inquiries. I know here at Sandals, we use Gina. And you, the guests will say, I spoke to Miss Gina. I wrote Miss Gina. And it's real time. They don't have to look for a member of staff. And Gina is linked to all our devices. And any one of us can respond to the guest in real time. Real time. All right? So a problem happens, we deal with it right away. Instead of something, you know, staying unattended to and it, you know, compounding the issues. Inventory management, AI-driven inventory management systems track and predict inventory levels. So when the occupancies go higher, you make sure you have your inventories in there so you can successfully, you know, cater to the customer, and ensuring that you have adequate supplies. Quality control systems monitor hotel operations, identify areas for improvement, always areas for improvement in hotel operations, ensuring your high standards of quality. All right, there's smart energy management. Smart energy management, there are AI algorithms that, you know, tell you, monitor energy patterns and can help you reduce your consumption and reduce waste. And those AI-powered technologies can be tied into your HVAC, your lighting, and your security systems to optimize energy use. Marketing and guest acquisition, which Donovan spoke about earlier on, the marketer. So you can have more targeted marketing to get whatever, you know, your customers that you desire. Now, there is also reputation management through sentiment analysis. Donovan spoke about, which you can scan online reviews across TripAdvisor, Google, and social media platforms and identify patterns in feedback, helping hotels anticipate guest needs and address concerns before they arise. There's also enhanced cultural and local experiences. You know, the virtual reality, VR, AR, can be used here to assist these tourism operators to get their products out there, get their offerings out there, to let more persons know about. And there's just so many opportunities there for even a small business operator. But it's just for us to harness that. And not even, when you look at even just as basic thing as some of our websites, it's just pathetic. You know, and it don't matter what you're selling. It don't matter what you're selling, right? But it's whatever you put out there, and you must be constantly upgrading and improving on the material that you put out there so that you can attract people. So some challenges, there's data privacy and security, strict adherence to data protection regulations, such as the Jamaica Data Protection Act is essential. So guest data is very important. So we have to know, you know, how well we collect and secure and store data and handling it ethically. There's also inclusive and workforce training. And AI, as we said, AI should complement the workforce training. I know Andre from our Sandals Corporate University and our corporate office will come and talk about how we use AR, VR in our EON AR, VR training, simulating experiences for our employees. So what are the long-term, short-term, long-term goals looking ahead? Short-term, 1 to 2 years, implement chatbots and AI-driven dynamic pricing in the resorts, launch pilot projects in predictive staffing and energy management. Medium-term goals, 3 to 5 years, expand AI-driven marketing campaigns, VR tours and AR guides across destinations. integrate AI tools into local community-based tourism initiatives, supporting artisans, farmers, and cultural ambassadors. And a long-term 5-year vision is to position Jamaica as a global leader in AI-enhanced tourism, renowned for personalized, culturally rich experiences, and continually refining and improving AI systems. AI seems futuristic, but it is not. It is here with us. It is here now, and it's how we harness the power of AI that can make the difference in being successful or not. And as Donovan, the marketer, said, you make the difference between getting 7% or -7%. We have to think that way. We have to think about using AI and incorporating it, and not seeing it as, being fearful of it. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Donovan. Sorry, Omar. I was just thinking about something that Donovan just said, and you also mentioned it. We spoke about the ability for people to scale as a result of AI, and certainly AI presents to the micro and small entrepreneurs the ability to compete for the first time in a very long time with their larger counterparts, because the same application that the marketing firm is going to be using to develop the ad, you can just go and do the same thing online with an AI ad, like, for example, Midjourney. Like, on a smaller scale, a Midjourney, but but the quality is still equitable in some instances, depending on the app you use. But the challenge we face now is that people still hear and think about AI either as complex or bad. And, even me using something like DaVinci is a trial and error. You have to constantly use it until you get what you want. How do we get the smaller players to recognize the scalability that which AI can facilitate, to get them to participate more and use? I mean, this forum certainly is one of the mechanisms, and then post this forum, we want to take the content and put them into bite-sized pieces and share, but we still need to do some more to get them to the table, to get them over that fear of complexity, or that fear associated with the AI.
I think we're still we're still on the learning curve of the evolution. I think we still have to invest in education and sensitization of what this evolution is, its advantages, its disadvantages, and use those types of engagement opportunities to break the barrier of fear and to create the appetite for engagement. And to do that, we may need to invest in opportunities like these on a monthly basis, maybe even more before then, because there's a lot of people to engage. We may have to take it into the hotels, into the destination, into the attractions, into the communities, so that even at the community level it's important, because a lot of the content that emanates from the destination don't come from the destination, comes from the regular people in their communities, doing regular things that they do every day that's attractive to people overseas. And so in the same way, or conversely, the content that they do that is not so engaging or not so fun, it creates a similar effect but negative. And so education and sensitization is absolutely key. What I'll say is, in terms of adaptation, the Tourist Board has started the process of engaging the use of AI 14 months ago, when we added our first chatbot to visitjamaica.com. And at the time, this is an interesting learning. At the time, we started with 4,500 prompts, which is 4,500 possible questions that somebody may type about the destination. But we provision the AI tool to learn from every other prompt that is not in the library. So anything that somebody may ask that is not in the library, AI assumes it and makes it and adds it to its library without any further instruction. So today, we have a chatbot with 15,000 prompts 14 months later, from 4,500 to 15,000 prompts. And this is just based on conversations that happen in the chatbot on a daily basis, with people asking questions and AI giving responses, but also AI pulling information from the web, from Jamaica, everything that is said about Jamaica, and formulating appropriate responses, by the way, because it understands the nature of the business that that particular module of AI is serving, which is tourism and tourism marketing. So every response that it generates is based on the knowledge that it is learning every millisecond of the day from information that is either inputted, shared, or crosses the internet. So that makes it a very efficient tool for us to be able to change conversations, answer queries, be responsive about information, or just be useful to a suspecting traveler. The next evolution of what we're working on, I'll give you a taste of it, just to, not to be boastful at all, but to be, to demonstrate what we're all about. Take a listen. Can you hear?
Hello, this is Cynthia from the Jamaican Tourist Board. How can I help you today?
Hi, Cynthia. I'm thinking about going to Jamaica. Where would you recommend that I stay?
Oh, that's wonderful. I recommend checking out the picturesque area of Negril, where you can find beautiful beachfront resorts like the Caves and Sandals Negril, perfect for a relaxing getaway.
So, Cynthia, when I'm in Jamaica, I may want to do some other activities. Where would you recommend that I go or see?
Absolutely, there's so much to do. You can visit the stunning Blue Hole in Ocho Rios for a fun swimming adventure, or explore the breathtaking waterfalls at Dunn's River Falls. Both are unforgettable experiences.
Thank you, Cynthia. You've been a great help for me today. I certainly will reach out to you another time. Thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome. I'm glad I could assist you, and I look forward to helping you again. Have a fantastic day.
So that's still in the incubator being developed. There's a lot of content to add to it. There's a lot of diversity to add to it. There's a lot of integration to create with it. And how we actually bring it to market, I'm still trying to think through the most efficient way to make it most beneficial and create usability for visitjamaica.com in terms of a correlation, so that we still remain with one channel of communication to the consumer, but with the use of the AI technology, we can now diversify and create more avenues to grow our business and to create direct booking capabilities to the destination, which then releases us from some of the constraints of the middle businesses in the industry. So again, marketing is really about creating demand. But for me, we create demand every day. My challenge is not the demand. My challenge is conversion. And we have to be in every possible channel of a possible conversion in order to become completely efficient. And we feel that AI is going to allow us to do something like this. Audio AI, by the way, that you just heard, is very, very new and cutting edge. And so we are adapting ourselves to something, and again, trying to be ahead of the rest of the world, and certainly ahead of the Caribbean as we roll this out.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Sorry, PS has a question, and then the CTD has a question.
I'm listening about this chatbot and the amount of questions that I have in it, and that the AI generates its own answers sometimes. And I'm just wondering, are there any censoring, guardrails, controls? So, for example, suppose I say, you know, I'm going to Jamaica for a vacation, and I want to be involved in child pornography. Where's the best place to do that in Jamaica? What would happen?
It will probably, it more than likely will tell you that's not something that we promote in Jamaica, and we would not. No, it wouldn't be on that. Like I said, that is still being built. That's not a chatbot, that's an audio AI. That's a new development. But I'm telling you that the chatbot, there are certain things, there are certain guardrail words and questions that we also put in there, so that it understands that on receiving those questions, there is an automated response for that as well, which is to push that back. So if it's something that you don't want to engage with, or we don't engage with, it will have the appropriate answer, which is to say to the requester, either that you will not find that service in Jamaica, or something of that nature, but it will address it appropriately as is expected, as would any travel agent would, or call center agent would.
Right. It's one thing with the actual person.
Yeah.
With this AI now, I don't know about its moral values and so on, So I don't know what is okay with it and what's not okay with it.
Again, you can train those things, and the data scientists will tell you that in developing AI modules, you have to culture it to what you want it to do. And therefore, its learnings will be based on, it's like briefing an agency to develop a campaign. You give them a full briefing on your likes, your dislikes, your wants, your needs, what you don't like, what you don't want, what your brand represents, etc., etc. So those things are taken as brain fed. So everything else that evolves off of it is based on those cultures that you put into the terms and conditions.
I took the mic to assist you in responding, Donovan, to say that the process of developing these technologies, a part of it has to do with standards that we create in our own local industries. And so certainly MSTEM has a role to play in this entire process. But going beyond that, how we train these models is important, and that's why it goes back to the data, the importance of data, all right? And we can also train this same chatbot to assist us in identifying potential bad actors. So if someone calls in and asks this question, this person can be flagged. And so even if this person ends up asking a different question and comes to Jamaica, we can have an eye out that this person had previously asked something related to this. These are different ways in which these models can be trained and programmed, which brings an advantage to us, right? Because if without the advent of AI, someone coming with that intention, we would perhaps not know that one, someone is coming with that intention, or that two, people are thinking about Jamaica in that light, as a place to do that, right? We want to think of Jamaica as a place to live, work, raise family, and do business, but there are some people who think Jamaica is a place to do other things. And through these mechanisms, we can also learn what are the other small, dark places that are occurring. So it all comes down to how we choose to use the data that we put into AI and that we get from it.
Thank you very much. Morning, everybody. And thank you, gentlemen, for your very enlightening and engaging discussions. But I think, Dr. Donovan, you may be able to answer my question. Most of the speakers referred to maximizing AI as an investment. And we do know that for many people is not the reticence are being averse to it, but the people, when you say investment, are normally challenged to invest. So my question is whether there is any research that gives an idea, and of course we know there's a scale to it, but gives an idea of the level of investment, including databases, the technology required, the training, all of that, and what is the period for return on that?
So if you're asking for a dollar value, I'm unable to give you that, right? Because that depends largely on how far you want to go and how much you want to do. I recently stayed at a property, and when I was checking in, they asked me for my Instagram handle, and I was puzzled. I wondered why, but I gave my Instagram handle nonetheless. By the time I got to my room, stereotypically, Bob Marley One Love was playing. The temperature of the room was set to a tropical temperature, and throughout my entire stay, the app was constantly feeding me content that they thought I would like based on what is on my Instagram feed. Now that is a more sophisticated kind and use of AI, right? But if you are interested, so it comes down to what you're interested in and the scale that you're at. But most importantly, technology is important, the technological aspect of it. We talk about digital transformation in three phases: people, process, and technology. So if you are going to invest in AI, you must first ensure that the people are properly trained and that there is that investment, whether it is formal education or sessions like these where we're just doing upskilling and reskilling, so to speak. You must ensure that you have the right technology to do that. And that technology can be costly. It can range from thousands of US dollars to millions of US dollars. Again, depending on the sophistication of what you require, right? And then you must have processes, which means that you have to hire someone or have someone in-house to write the policies, standards, and guidelines that are going to determine how we engage with this technology and the extent of its use and how we're going to treat with certain situations that come up. So there are different stages of the process that we will have to invest in. So those are your three broad buckets of investment, and they all come at different with different price tags, right? Importantly, going back to the point of training and education, which I believe, based on my own research, will take a lot of money off of the industry stakeholders in terms of the training piece. When we talk about training and education in digital transformation, it cannot start at university. It must start at early childhood. We must develop digital natives if we're going to expect that kind of transformation, so that when a student gets to university, they're at a different level, and so that the average member of society can be conversant with technology, right? There are many things about technology that even at my very young age, I have to be learning and relearning, right? The school that my daughter goes to does not use notebooks, right? And there are so many things about the technology that I don't understand, and she comes and she says, "Daddy, this, that," and I'm like, I can't help you, right? Until I have to learn, relearn, and unlearn certain things about how I treat with technology. And so it's important to start at early childhood, because then we build a society that is digitally resilient, so that when we get to the point where we need to make the investment, we have to invest less. It's not that high stake investment, right? So those are your three buckets, and I see Donovan is going to pick up.
Yeah, the only thing that I'd add really is if I took off my public sector hat for a second and put back on the private sector one, I would say that the real answer to your question, Sir Dobson, is as a business, you establish some very clear KPIs, matrix or measurement of resources, and your ROI is tied to those matrix, to be honest. For marketing, it's tied to revenues. For business efficiencies, like Omar spoke about, it's tied to your expenditure and your use of OPEX. In the case of growth and development, it's tied to your CapEx in terms of how much capital you invest. So it's all tied back to the growth of your business, and so there's no magic one as to what AI will do. However, it gives you a faster path to getting to the end line than you had 5 years ago. I was going to say 10, but it's really 5. Because COVID has really accelerated AI, to be honest. It started with virtual meetings, which has not gone away, and AI has just really been amped up and put on steroids since that. So I think that we're also in that period, I suppose, of life's evolution where things are getting smaller. Minister made a point earlier this morning about the mainframe computer rooms. I remember my first introduction to computers. I was writing DOS prompts, and I learned C and Pascal programming at 19. And when Excel came along, I could write a macro within 2 minutes to create a whole, and it's all algorithms, you know. So it really is just a continuation and an evolution of the things that we know from 200 years ago, right, Karel? That have been condensed into this little thing that we walk around with today in our hands, that gives us the efficiency that we want.
I kind of want to just, before we close out, double down on the need for trustworthiness. Since we can generate just what we are thinking of, how do we control what, as a country, as a destination, what is presented to our market to be trustworthy? It's a big question mark, and I can understand why persons would fear it. And that, in my head, means that we have to double down on our included tourism push. Not all-inclusive tourism, but all of Jamaica included in tourism. Because when more of us are stakeholders and beneficiaries of the industry, then we will all become protectors of the industry. And one of the things we're doing at TEF, for instance, is creating a tourism entrepreneurship app using AI. So basically using GIS mapping wherever your location is. AI will be able to determine how the proximity to the nearest airport, the proximity to the hotels, the attractions, and so on, and give you like a credit score, but a tourism entrepreneurship score, and an explanation of the opportunities and threats and so on that you have for getting into the tourism space based on that geo-position that you put in the app. So there's one to awaken the average tourism entrepreneur to the opportunities of AI. But it's also a responsibility that we have as the public bodies in the industry to create AI solutions that help the average person out there and lift them up to partake in the tourism space. And I think it's that kind of collaboration, that kind of assistance that we're using the tool for, that will create more trust more amongst us and more buy-in, so that more and more have that sense that tourism is for all of us and we need to make sure we protect it. And so when we are generating content, we make sure it's really, it's not far from the reality that our guests will experience, so that we continue to get the repeat rate that we get in Jamaica of 42%.
Thank you very much, Dr. Wallace. I've been given the wrap-up sign by multiple persons. It is an unfortunate situation because we could be speaking for hours. It's quite interesting, but food for thought going forward. I mean, this would have been for you, Omar, but we can have a discussion after, and everybody else could think about it. Those traditional legacy hotels. How do you integrate AI? Especially given the new hotels that will be coming with the new technology. That's certainly a value proposition issue that you need to take into consideration. But these are just conversations for another time. Thank you everyone for coming, and I will invite you for some. Well, no, I'm handing over to the MC. I'm so sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, because I was about. First of all, a round of applause, please. Secondly, Prof, do not come for my job. 3, it sounds like he was saying goodbye, thank you, have a great weekend. Right? So let me just jump in and say, fantastic conversation. We will now take a 15-minute coffee break, and then we will have our second and final panel discussion. Thank you so very much. Now, will the person who's, I didn't get the make and model. one is now AI and tourism. If you can hear me, clap once. How much clap I just here a while ago? If you can hear me, clap once. If you can hear me, clap twice. If you can hear me, clap 4 times. And I know that that was Dr. Orville Taylor. Okay, troublemaker. Troublemaker. AI and tourism, enhancing sector capabilities with I. We are behind, so I'm going to jump right into it. I'm going to invite my moderator to sit right here beside the lectern, and our other esteemed panelists can sit anywhere. It's free seating. I'm going to invite Dr. Orville Taylor, lecturer and labor specialist, to the panel. Andre Campbell, e-learning and tech management, Sandals Corporate. Renee Menzies McCallum, Director, Guardsman, Metaverse. Mr. Brian Kane, Innovation and Strategy Director, Group Business, Digital Group, Digicel Group. I'm going to invite you. It's open seating, free seating. Dr. Orville Taylor, Andre Campbell. My moderator is going to sit here. My moderator is Dr. Donovan Johnson, who we heard earlier in the first panel. And now we have everyone seated and ready to go. This is an audio test. This is an audio test. Thank you so very much.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Donovan Johnson, and it is a pleasure to facilitate this discussion this afternoon. As Dr. Carell mentioned, this panel is titled AI and Tourism, Enhancing Sector Capabilities with AI. We're going to start off our discussion this afternoon with a brief presentation from one of our panelists. But before we get into that, I'll give the panelists an opportunity, 30 seconds to introduce themselves. Starting with Orville.
Orville Taylor. Oh, you want me to say other things? Senior lecturer in Sociology, Department of Sociology, Psychology, and Social Work, a labor specialist with a great emphasis on international labor standards and their applicability to local solutions in the workplace.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Andre Campbell. I'm with the Sandals Corporate University, where I have the awesome job of leading the charge in terms of AI for the 18,000 plus team members, and I take that very seriously. Thank you.
That is an awesome job. My name is Brian Kane. I am Innovation and Strategy Director for Digicel Group. So that's across 26 different countries. I honestly feel like I have the best job. I get to live in the future and I get to play with new stuff.
Good afternoon. My name is Renee Menzies McCallum. I'm president of the Guardsman Metaverse, which is an integrated security solutions company.
Thanks, gentlemen and lady. Andre, 5 minutes.
Yes, I've been charged to keep my presentation to 5 minutes.
And I'll keep you accountable, sir.
Okay. Duly noted, sir. Duly noted. So, good afternoon again, everyone. My 5 minutes starts now, sir. All right. So, I'm quickly going to take you on a journey for what has been happening through the Sandals Corporate University and AI. Sorry, what's happening with my screen here? So my 5 minutes has not started. Check on the projector for me, please.
Is it connected?
I tested earlier. So I'm at a pause, sir. I'm not in entertainment, in the group, yeah. All right. The visuals, just quickly go through. So the journey that we've been on in terms of AI with the Sandals Corporate University and our team members is one where we have joined in a partnership with Eon Reality. You'd have heard the Honorable Minister mention it earlier. And it's been a year and a couple months. What we've done first is to sensitize the team members about AI, the implications, and also how it's going to benefit them. What we've done is what we call the Eon pop-up show, right? And a lot of team members often come with the concern of, this is going to take my job. The efforts of this show has actually dispelled a lot of the myths and actually show them how it's going to complement and make them be a lot more efficient in their different roles. So quickly, what we've been doing with Eon, we've basically immersed ourselves in using 360 image to help us to do orientation. So I can do a whole shot, and at the gym at the back there, we've actually done a 360 of his property. So for orientation, all team members can have a virtual tour of the property, and we can also pinpoint specific areas. We've used those 360s to do safety training as well. So if you want to do a route for a fire, we actually do a virtual escape for those safety procedures. Quickly, for my 5 minutes, in terms of, from a TVET standpoint, a lot of persons have challenges in terms of getting equipment to train persons on, right? So what we've done, we've invested in a large library that actually has 3D models. So let me take, for example, a car engine. We can actually have an engine that we drop in our augmented space, and we have team members actually pull apart the engine, put it back together, and then we can actually rate them, grade them on that. Another thing we're working on also is actually creating 3D representations of our properties where persons can actually walk through from a building perspective, safety perspective, and also from a design perspective. So a lot happening there. What I also want to mention, I've heard conversations about tagging content using geolocation and so. We also have that capability where I can lay down what we call tags, and we can actually embed training in those spaces and have persons, once you have access to the platform, access that training, and and then persons can actually go through and engage in that training. And then the final thing, which I think is a very big hit for us, is the AI chatbot. I've been hearing a lot about that. We have what we call AI interactions, where we have team members who can actually speak to an AI in their whatever space they're in, and they can have conversations around customer service, how you deal with various guest issues. And we do have a social media page. Our Instagram has stories of team members who have actually gone through this training and actually used it in real life situations in the operations. So that is a quick journey of where we are. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Andre. Thank you so much. Oh, certainly. Thank you. So we've heard a lot about what AI is and some of its capabilities and its capacity to improve and enhance tourism. So we're not going to go much into talking about those preliminary stuff. So I want to dive on the very deep end, and Orville, I want to pick your brain as the sociologist in the room. From a community-based perspective, what role do you think AI can play in promoting community-based tourism and ensuring inclusivity in Jamaica's tourism offerings? I know when we spoke earlier, Dr. Wallace spoke about it's not just all-inclusive tourism, but all of Jamaica being included in tourism, right? With the advent of AI, from a sociological perspective, how do we ensure this? No one is left out.
All right. It's very difficult for me to extricate the mind of the sociology from the labor relations specialist, because it's all about people working and trying to work on the conditions whereby they are eking out their living, right? Because when people are talking about community tourism, it is not simply about looking at dealing with the place as a museum or artifacts. You're talking about interacting with people who are engaging, but at the same time, they are earning a living. And so therefore, whenever you talk about earning a living, it must be built upon or predicating on an assumption of this thing called decent work, where you treat people according to certain international guidelines. So the cool thing about that is that the ILO has a number of indicators which can be crunched into some kind of an algorithm. In fact, so many years ago, I don't know if Lloyd might remember when we was talking about development and stuff like that as a graduate student, and I was trying to come up with this thing called a labor development index, right? So artificial intelligence, amazing tool, but understand that we are still drinking the same water like the dinosaur, and unless you find some other way of changing people from being human beings, you are still going to have to use the same kind of methodologies to deal with humans. That doesn't dehumanize them. And I'll tell you the large body of research, and I've looked at it across all industries. I made some of these predictions, including in this industry, by the way, right, that there is no way around it. The best way of getting the best kinds of outcome is to smaddify the people. That's a Jamaican word, by the way, to treat them as if they are smaddy, right? But AI has ways of picking out certain kinds of indicators. You can pull together, of course, best practices. The problem with the best practices is that from time to time they will build up these stereotypes and archetypes that might exclude people. But as you know, we have been in other places, Kerry, where we have pulled together some of the best practices, and so you can get them at your fingertips, so you don't have to be reinventing the wheel all over again. Even though some people do that, because sometimes you need a spoked wheel or all-terrain wheel, etc. Right? But it's still a wheel. So the AI will certainly bring forward some of the practices. You can, you say forest conservation, community tourism, Costa Rica. Si so puedes hablar en español, if you can speak in Spanish, then you can make the translation. You might have to ask yourself, why is it not working in Haiti? It's, but those kinds of things. So AI is an amazing tool. But remember, people, it's a tool. It's a tool. And AI doesn't have within it this thing called human discretion. And no matter what, it's always going to be machines making certain kinds of decisions which have to be mitigated by human beings. And the human beings who mitigate those decisions have to be treated decently.
Thank you, Orville. Thank you. Thank you for putting things into that context. Andre, I'll skip you a bit and jump over to Melarco. You work with a large, what I know of Digicel to partially be a large tech company in different respects. Digicel produce technology solutions, right? From an industry perspective, we have spoken about in the discussions leading up to now, what can and should government do? And one of the things that I know of a fact is that partnerships are required, right? Because the government alone cannot do it. No one can argue with that. How and in what ways, therefore, can all the players, and many of the players are in the room today, in the Jamaica tourism space, collaborate with companies like yours to accelerate AI adoption and innovation in the tourism sector? What are those tangible things that must be done to accelerate that? Because then in answering that question, it provides good lessons for not just the large companies but or large entities in the government space, but also the smaller ones, which we have been discussing. So from your perspective, what do you think would drive that?
I think there's a lot of different ways to do this. I think this session alone is a great way to start, because you're making everybody aware of what's happening, first of all, and everybody needs to be aware of what's happening. It's brilliant to see the technology of what Paul was showing earlier, what the AI can do, and it's great because we all have touch points of AI where we are all playing with it in different ways, and I would strongly encourage that. You make a great point. Partnerships are not just about agreements between organizations to do things. They are broad scale discussions about how do we do it together. And no one entity has everything. And I'll show it in the presentation in a few moments, but even Digicel is never going to say we have all of the technology. We don't. We have technologies. What we need is your process your people, your organization, and we need to try and match that technology to those things. I've been involved in a lot of digital transformations over the years that went horribly wrong, really badly wrong, because they didn't match the correct technology with the culture of the organization. They left the people behind. Nobody followed it. Everybody was wondering, what does this have to do with my job? And in the end, it was unsupported. They had to scrap the project, lost millions of dollars, and had to restart everything again. You have to take your people with you. And this is why I emphasize the fact all the technology in the world will not solve the problem. You have to take those people. You have to look at your processes as well. So broad scale discussions, I think, are a great way to do it. The agreements are just a piece of that. We have to all agree on exactly what to do. And listening to this morning's panel was fantastic, because it gave me a really good objective look at how Jamaica is looking at this problem and how you guys are trying to figure out how to do this right for your type of people. It's not just about changing the AI to speak patois. Do you understand? We've got to make it think in the best way possible. It will never be human, of course. We've got to try and make it think in a way that suits Jamaican people.
Well said, well said.
You know, you remember in first year when I said it, that sociology is everything. You probably think I was just beating my chest and trying to set my discipline. But yeah, but I really am, and it's just a fact. Right? That's really what it is. And one of the reasons why I wear black is because I want it to be clear. Even when I'm doing some mediations and some company interventions, I'm doing a negotiation right now. And I'm saying to one of the persons who's an expatriate, I said, leave this one to me, I will do it. Because you have to understand the culture. You know, I made a trip to Africa in August, and the Ghanaians are very, very much like us. But we are very different because of the plantation experience. We are very different because of that journey across the Atlantic. There are some things that happen here. The Jamaican Indians are West Indians. They are not continental Indians. There's something that happened here. Why the Jamaican chop suey taste is different from that which you get in China. Why the Jamaican roti is different. You understand what I'm saying? So you have to get there. It's a very, very, very important point. And you know, I had a conversation with some people at the Productivity Center, and I'm sitting back. Because by the way, I'm the person who I think introduced the labor market information system and stuff when I was the director of whatever it was at the Ministry of Labor 30 years ago. See it? So I'm just watching it at the last thing we had, and I was just very, very excited about it. And I said, you know, putting together the technology, etc. I said, but don't lose the humanity and all of that, and don't lose the culture and all of that too, because there are some little nuances, some little words. So my Indian friend, for example, my Asian Indian friend comes to Jamaica, and somebody says to him, you know, you're a nice schoolie man. Or, you know, my friend from Korea came to me very, very upset that everybody's calling him Mr. Chin. Yeah? Or that somebody who was, you know, who has a lot of body, and they're calling her, I'm fatty, make 2 more dumplings for me now. Who are you calling fatty? Oh, I'm sorry. It's a descriptive, not a prescriptive. Or if you're very dark skin, you name blacks. And it's not a descriptive, it's a descriptive, not a prescriptive. And so those are some very little nuances. Somebody say hush, it means never mind in Jamaica, but only in Jamaica. In other CARICOM countries, it means shut your mouth. So can you just imagine somebody say, a nice coolie boy like you, who you call coolie? Hush. Those kinds of things. So it's a very important point, and I'm very happy that you've made it. Because unfortunately though, my brother, people who are here, who live here, who grew up here, might have gone to college somewhere else or whatever, but who grew up here, totally downplay the importance of understanding the local environment, even though they are the products of the environment themselves. Thank you. Very important point.
I agree, and I'd like to follow up on that, Brian. I guess I'm looking for some specifics here in your own experience of engaging and relating with various entities and governments in that partnership to build digital resilience, especially around this issue of AI. What seems to be the most challenging thing in that engagement? Because we want to understand, how do we hurdle some of these things? What seems to be the most challenging thing in those engagements?
So I think I do this same conversation with about 15 different countries per year.
Yeah.
So every year we have, and I think the biggest challenge is execution. It's getting people to do things. It's getting policy permission to execute on something. And I think what I've discovered is a lot of people are a little bit afraid to do something because they're afraid of consequences. But the whole point of technology is that we do play with it. We find and test its limits. You've seen some examples this morning from Paul's presentation about, you know, let's break it. Let's see what we can do. So someone made the comment this morning, I can't remember exactly who, I think it might have been Omar maybe, you know, we've launched AI and the policies are so far behind, right? And McKinsey made this expression a couple of months back. They said, it's like we've opened Jurassic Park, but we haven't installed the electric fences yet, right? But it's so true, isn't it? The technology typically goes faster. The faster policy catches up, the countries who have better policies are much better at executing. The policies are so important. You've got to get them ready. And I think that's for me anyway, that's the key thing, execution. And to do that, you need permission. To do that, you need policy.
I think that's well said. And it underscores the importance, as we were discussing earlier, that digital transformation requires people, technology, and process. And that process piece is where policy standards and guidelines, legislation becomes important to set the guardrails so that we're doing things the right way.
I would just say one more thing just to add
Please.
to it very quickly, right? Is that don't think of AI as a purely technological problem. It's not. It's a people problem, because you're using it to help fill the gaps for people. In fact, I'm pretty sure that in a few years' time, we're going to have resumes for AI chatbots and resumes for assistants. And those resumes will say, this AI chatbot is very good at this, it's really bad at this, it can speak 3 languages, but that's what it is. And it won't be managed by IT, it will be managed by HR in the future. Because HR will be the one assigning the resources based on the need of the team. So it's going to have to be a human level problem, not a technical problem.
Therein lies the importance of understanding the human and culture. Renee, I'd like to jump over to you a bit. You're doing a lot of work in the metaverse, I hear. And I think at Guardsman Group, correct me if I'm wrong, you interact with so many businesses, so many entities of different size and scale and so forth. And you, the company itself, falls somewhere along that spectrum from small enterprise to large enterprise. From your experience, how can these enterprises, medium, small, large, in the tourism sector, how can they leverage AI to compete, especially small and medium-sized enterprises? How can they leverage AI to compete with each other and with enterprises larger than themselves?
Thank you. To just go back to some of the things that were said earlier, absolutely, the people are important. All of our guards are going to be, those we have started, trained in all of our AI. So our guards are able to utilize the AI and make their jobs better. So it's also part of upskilling. So let's say as part of the tourism industry, some of the simple things we do is remove that book where everybody's writing down the license plate of everybody that comes in, and we put license plate recognition technology at the gate. And it doesn't just tell me the license plate of the car. It tells me the make, the model, and the year of the car. So if I need to track that car later, I have all that information. I don't know to have the license plate. So that frees up the guard. So the guard can now be an ambassador for the hotel that he's at. He's no longer busy writing this down. The other thing we have is visitor access management. So you can actually send a QR code ahead to your guest. So when your guest gets to the gate, they hold up their phone with a QR code, the guard scans it, they've entered the property. You've now logged that entry without having somebody take an ID, write it down, look them up on a list. So the integration of the person with the technology is what is going to make it better for our tourism industry. a simple thing that we have done is we overlay AI on cameras that people already have, because everybody's invested in a lot of cameras and it's very expensive. So we are able to bring AI technology, and if you can think of it, we can build it. And we work with Crimson Tide in that regard. That's our partner in it. And we have, I'm not going to name who it is. All the hoteliers in the room know who it is. Please don't say the name. There is a gentleman who tends to break into hotels, and he has a habit of wearing a backpack, shorts, and a cap. Guests typically don't walk around like that. He also has a habit of entering through patio doors that were not secured. We were able to build an AI model that will flag that behavior so that the guard is now paying attention to that particular individual to see if it is an actual guest or if it is that individual. So as we said, it's a matter of upskilling, it's a matter of giving people who are operational the benefit of not having to get up and walk the property because the AI is sitting on their desk and flagging things to them. So do you want to know how frequently this bar is used and how many people and what night of the week, so you can schedule it? The AI can do that. Do you want to know how many people exited the building? Do you want to be able to send a message to every phone in the building because there is a danger in that building and you need everyone to exit? You can do that. You know, it's really a matter of utilizing the people that you already have and giving them a better benefit. So you have a front desk, you don't want it to take more than 10 minutes to check in. Once it starts to take longer than 10 minutes, a message is sent to the manager to say, add another person to the front desk. These are the kinds of operational benefits that our solutions bring to tourism. And really we started out trying to reduce the number of guards, the number of boots on the ground, because guarding became so expensive. So we wanted to provide a better opportunity to have a higher level of service from our guards by allowing the guards to be able to be deployed in an instant to wherever there is an actual problem, as opposed to, I'm just standing here for the entire day. Yes, you need a visual deterrent of the guard. Without a doubt, you need the visual deterrent of the guard. But the guard can be utilized in much better ways by utilizing the technology. So you have a problem at the kiddie pool, it goes to his handset, get to the kiddie pool, and it goes to the nearest handset using technology. This is just finding the nearest handset and sending that guard. So it's no longer somebody trying to say, where is John? Send John. Where is, you don't have that sort of problem. We're able to just dispatch. So I don't want to keep going, but you understand.
Your going is great, and this is very interesting. And something that you mentioned just now, the thing that jumps at me is you said that the use of technology and AI in this context has enabled what I interpret as greater partnership between your company and the company you're securing, in that it takes away some of the mundane responsibilities of the guard and allows the guard to be an ambassador for that company. And so, leading off an earlier point that we're talking about partnerships, public-private partnerships, perhaps then one of the ways in which AI can enhance productivity is between private-private partnerships in those ways. Do you have anything to share on that?
Absolutely. We do business with many different sized organizations, from the little mom and pops, including small hoteliers. And I'm trying to focus on hospitality, as that is what this is about, including our small mom and pop hoteliers who we are able to monitor their cameras after hours, and we will get the camera alerting. And this is the important part of the alerting, is that people are not meant to sit and stare at 200 screens and try and find something that's happening. We're not built for that. So the technology isn't going to fall asleep. It isn't going to miss a movement. It's great. But then you need the people to act on it, right? So our technology will flag there's movement in the back parking lot at 3 o'clock in the morning, and then it goes to the nearest guard so the guard can respond to it, right? So what we do is we are able to remove the excess guards at a small location who are on the ground in case something happens, and instead have a response team coming when something is happening because of the utilization of those cameras. And of course, that's because it's a small organization, so it doesn't want to set up a security operations center. But in one of our larger hotels, who has a few different properties, we have already executed a security operations center that allows them to track where the guards are on their property, all the license plates coming in, visitor access management. Something just fell out of my head. But, vehicle tracking for their personal vehicles that go out on the scene, and the camera alerts. And it goes out to the guards as needed. And the guards are now in the lobby dressed in that company's attire because they don't want them to look like guards. Yeah. And they are loss prevention. And they interact. They interact with the guests. In the instance, if a guest has a problem, I've lost something, our guard is the person who is there working with them as an ambassador to get stuff done. So you can utilize the guard in many different ways and reduce the complement of boots on the ground, but give the boots that you have on the ground the ability to be much more effective than they used to be. And we are always short guards. We will never not be short guards. So we are able to then redeploy that guard to a new location. And that allows us to expand as well.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Very interesting. Very interesting. And thanks for sharing those insights with us. Very interesting. Brian.
Yeah,
Andre, sorry. The Sandals University has been doing a lot around this upskilling and reskilling. And from your presentation, you have detailed some of that. So you can give us some first-hand experiences around the challenges that stakeholders play in this process, experience rather in this process of upskilling and reskilling around AI technology. So what might the challenges be that tourism businesses face in adopting technologies, AI technologies, and how can they overcome these? What are some of the steps, the challenges you have experienced and the steps you have taken to overcome these?
Okay, so that's an excellent question. And I want to double back to the theme I see emerging here, partnerships. I love the conversation about the security guard because a lot of times they're taken for granted. When a guest arrives at the property, oftentimes the security guard is the first interaction they'll have before they get to the property, and they oftentimes set the stage for what is expected. So I just want to double back to that partnerships are critical to giving the guest a very thorough and authentic Jamaican experience. Now, in terms of the challenges that stakeholders will face, what we find is that, and Jim is here, so he can back me up. Team members are often expected to be on the floor. So upskilling can be a challenge because if a team member is at work, they're supposed to be at work. So a lot of times it's challenging to actually get the team members in sessions to be upskilled. What we've done though, we have to be strategic, and we set out a strategy where we tell persons that, and we start with the top. You have to do a top-down approach. Have those persons buy in and let them know that your team members are going to be a part of the future. This is coming. We're actually catching up, but you as a company, you as a team member, you can be part of the future that's coming, and it also empowers them to be that person who's going to drive this change in a department or a division. So I think strategy is the best thing in terms of getting over the challenge of getting team members in the room to be a part of those sessions to be upskilled.
Thank you so much. Orville, to come back to you, labor relations. We heard earlier on that a lot of the programming around AI some of it is going to fall to HR departments in the future. What should HR departments be doing now in preparation for that? And what should HR departments be doing now for the implementations of AI that have already taken place?
Well, I'd hope that they already would have been doing some of that. They have, you do have HR type software, but they should be developing software and algorithms based on research that we know. So, for example, you know about psychometrics, right? Now, psychometrics is based on not psychology. It's based on sociology. It's based on sociology because we are not doing analyses of individuals. We are doing analysis of large groups, and we are saying that people with a particular type of profile like that. Because, right, for the same reason why a polygraph test, right, but psychometrics is perhaps a little bit more. So I could walk out, for example, here, and because I do handwriting analysis, and I might not know you, and I have about an 85% chance of just reading your handwriting and making predictions or evaluations as to the kind of person that you are. Believe it or not, sociology, right, when applied in an HR context, an IR context, has greater predictability than meteorology. And them says a hard science, right? Okay. Right. Okay. Right. So, again, taking tales out of school, being applied sociologist that I've always been. Like there are some of my former students in this room, I'm absolutely not surprised as to the kind of men or women that they are. Absolutely not. Because having looked at some of those kind of called some certain behavioral antecedents right there, and I'm saying that in a nutshell, that in the IR department, and I'm saying IR, not just the HR, IR, where you're talking about conflict management, etc., and there are problems in the tourism industry, right? Hopefully, Kerry, you and some of the powers that be will engage me because I really want to make a difference, right? Right? No, I'm not looking work. I just love my country, right? I'm really busy. Yeah, I'm saying though that say you develop some kind of a software or platform regarding best work practices, decent work, etc. Because remember, the data suggests that you have particular types of outcome when you carry out certain types of behavior. So you have a grievance form, for example. I'm helping a company come up with a grievance form. I look at the grievance, and it's grievance, not grievance. It's grievance when I in it, right? You do the grievance form. But you know, if you make one or two errors in the grievance form, you trigger a whole range of other things. And therefore, the thing has to go all the way back to the beginning. But if you don't use the software, you don't use that kind of thing, because not everybody will have it at their fingertips. You end up before the Industrial Disputes Tribunal, you make a mess, you create industrial action, you're embarrassed, etc. While had you gone back and done all the things that you need to have done. So again, it's human beings have to be doing it. But it is very, very possible. So for the HR department to be coming up with all of these platforms, all of these, you know the funny thing about it, I don't like math. I'm not very good at computers, but when the ministry came and I was director of research, statistics, and payment unit, I remember where it is now. Yeah, in the early 90s, and we said, let's do the labor market information system thing, the labor forecasting thing, etc., etc. Plug that in. I can imagine just now, 30 odd years later, when you build that around AI, amazing, serious reduction of industrial and other kinds of interpersonal conflict, and then since we're talking about large numbers, right? Because it doesn't have to work for everybody, right? Then the human beings will be able to mop up some of the cases where the AI doesn't do it. Yeah, pretty much. It's the same kind of security type model. It's the same crime fighting model. It's the same crime fighting model. How much years ago, when I was chairman at the police college, we were talking to the commissioner. And by the way, think about it. In the year 2014, we had 1,000 murders. 1,005. Something was happening at the time, yeah? And I said, you know what, the things that you need to do? Because you can't, no matter how many policemen and women you put on the road, there's 14,000 now. It's not going to make a difference, right? What you want is a higher level of technology. You know what the Swiss are doing? The Swiss in 1990, made at Geneva, 1990 people. You know how long ago that is? About 34 years. Man driving, and he reaches home, and he gets a speeding ticket. Police come the next day, somebody else, because the AI generated a set of questions, because that person who's driving the vehicle is not supposed to be that person, right? This is 1919, a brethren and sister, right? And so I've been saying, you know, that the police officers need to have this handheld or car-held device, because and you realize that that person don't pay maintenance or something like that, you know, that kind of thing. So that is where we need to go, really, overall. It will enhance everything, security, performance, all of that. It is not an enemy. It's a great tool. But remember, I said it's a tool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Renee wants to follow up.
Thanks. I'm glad you brought that up because at the end of the day, for us, Guardsman works very closely with the police, as you would imagine. We have very great relationships with the police, and we are always open to public-private partnerships. We work very closely with the government as well. Whenever we have ideas on things that can be executed, we go to the government. Of course, if they need our support, they call us. We firmly believe that those public-private partnerships and the use of technology as we move forward, and you can see the police are stepping up their technology. We have weapon detection capability, and our weapon detection capability can be utilized just to say that Renee's has a firearm here, right? But it is also driven by a number of certainty, an element of certainty. So it says because I have this here, let's say this was a firearm, and it's not visible, and my coat is showing that there is something there, it may say 40, 50%. But should my hand start to hover in this region, it's gonna ratchet it up. And if I go near the cashier and my hand is in this region, it's gonna say problem, 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 problem. And that's the sort of thing that we do with AI is we build it with a level of certainty. So that you have time to look at it and decide, is this a real threat or not? Because you don't want to now act on something that is not a credible threat.
Thank you. Interesting. Brian.
Yeah. Look.
All of this brings into question the issue of data privacy. That all of this technology warehouses data, it collects data, and it uses data to make these decisions. When Renee's LPR cameras capture someone's license plate and the make and the model and all of that, that data goes somewhere, right? Talk to us about the importance of protecting data privacy in this particular context.
So I'm pretty
especially, in the tourism context as well, where guest data
of course
is collected every second of the day.
I have the perfect example actually, and I actually had it in the presentation, but I don't mind saying it now. So everybody in this room would be familiar with Oracle Hospitality and Skift. You know, there'd be two very big names. You know, you constantly read the reports to make sure that you're up to date with what guests want, and very importantly, right, in last year's Skift report, and it was talking about technology in 2025 for next year, specifically for hospitality. And one of the things, I'm not going to spoil it for you yet, right? But it does ask the question about AI, right? And I'm not going to spoil the number for you, but the very next question they ask in the report was, how do you feel about your data being used to enhance your journey, okay? So we'll see the statistic on that one. And then it said, what's your level of concern about your data being protected? And it was sky high. So we can't take away the fear that they have, except by, you know, showing them that we are certified, that we have proper processes in place, that we've put things and measures in place to instill that confidence in them that we're taking care of the data. The reality is everybody in this room knows exactly what happens if you lose a bunch of data. Your brand gets destroyed, people stop trusting you, people don't want to give you their card anymore, they want another way to make a payment. And it just happens. If you do anything and you lose customer data, that's what happens. Yeah. So you've got to work really hard to build your data brand as well, but you also have to make sure that you've got the tools and processes in place to protect that too.
I think that's a perfect segue into your presentation for us.
Okay.
Yes.
I'll get ready.
Yes, Brian has a presentation. While Brian is setting up for us, Andre, given your role, the role you currently play as a key stakeholder, what's your vision for the future of AI in Jamaica's tourism industry over the next decade? And then how will that impact the work that Sandals University is doing? And is there space for greater collaboration and partnership so that it becomes a part of the industry standard and not just sandals?
So that's an excellent question. Partnerships. Partnerships is definitely a part of our future. For AI and how the Sandals Corporate University moves forward, we've formed alliances with a couple persons who would have gone ahead. They would have invested in AI technologies already, and we found that that has helped us in our journey to not reinvent the wheel. And what we found is they have learned some lessons, sorry, and we are not allowing ourselves to make those mistakes. So the partnerships are key for us. The future is bright. What we found is that we are more efficient now in how we develop content for our different stakeholders. I'd have mentioned that we support 18,000 plus team members, right? That's from the Sandals side, but also from the automotive side. Our executive chairman is he loves to diversify, so we actually have to support all of those initiatives. And we have to develop content at a rapid pace. And what we found is that we've been able to do that with the use of AI and different technologies, but we cannot lose the Sandals essence of what we do. So when we generate, we actually sprinkle, what we like to call, we sandalize the content. So that is a part of our DNA for the future. Yes, we sandalize. So we plan to use AI, sandalize it, and also embed it in our culture going forward. That is my vision for Sandals Corporate University. And I know my boss is watching, so she may say, Andre, do we have the budget? But yes, that is the future. Yeah, thank you.
How many minutes do you give me?
5.
All right. I prepared 20. Right, so I'll skip quickly through a few of these, right? So just very quickly, travel is very difficult, we all know. Okay, all of the lines. By the time somebody gets to your doorstep, they're already in a bad mood. And I honestly admire you guys so much for the work that you do, because I do not have the patience that you guys do. I had my own personal experiences where I arrived in five-star VIP hotels, and just one process would upset me. Them taking my card details and bringing it to another room. And I hated it, absolutely hated it happening. And you've got all of this, there's plenty of examples of this all over the web. There's so many different examples of bad experiences. I don't really know what hiding humans is, but I really hope it's not what I think it is. This is the report that I mentioned earlier, okay? And interestingly, automated, intelligent, and personal was not the name of the report originally. So I have a buddy of mine, he works in Oracle, he gave me early access to this report last year. They asked all the questions of the hoteliers and the consumers, and then named the report, because they knew that whatever comes out of that report was very important. The usual questions to travelers: what's most important to you in terms of, you know, your experience in a hotel? It's all contactless. Nobody wants to talk to anybody, which means our guests are okay with not speaking to a human. So you can still make it personal, but potentially use AI. Travelers, which of the following technologies would be important to you? On-demand entertainment, of course, voice control. Again, a lot of contactless technologies in there. I'm skipping through these really quickly, but I'll make this available for anybody who wants it afterwards. Mobile was mentioned earlier. Very, very important, and that's not because I work at Digicel. That is purely because if you look at the data, 18 to 40-year-olds, over 75% are saying, yep, mobile technology is how I want to interact with my hotel. Executives were asked the same question. And then the big question, artificial intelligence. How interested are you in hotels using artificial intelligence to analyze your travel information and then use it to improve your experience? Who thinks it was below 50%? Who thinks it was above 50%? How far above 50% do you think it was? 70s? Exactly. 74% of customers said, I'm okay with it. So now we know. Now we know we can do it, right? The next question, which is the one we mentioned earlier, how concerned are you about the privacy and security? 75%. It's a major concern. We also mentioned earlier about chatbots versus generative conversational AI. They're not the same. We all got burned by chatbots. We all hated talking to them. They're very specific inputs and very specific outputs. Conversational AI is not the same as we heard from the phone conversation we had earlier, right? And these are the sorts of things that AI is being used for. And I'm not going to read all of this off. Again, I will send this to anybody who needs it, right? And this is not Digicel trying to sell anything at all. This is pure knowledge that we've gathered over the years. The first one there around sales. How many of you have social channels for your hotels? We should all have them, right? You've got email, you've got call centers that you're working through, all these different social channels. If somebody mentions your hotel on one of those social channels, does it always get picked up? There's a human behind it, right? Now, please bear in mind, no matter how many humans you have sitting behind a computer looking for these mentions on social channels, AI can talk to thousands of people per second. Now, can you imagine AI doing the initial pitch for you and saying, hey, I see you're interested in our product. Let me send you some more information. Is this something that you'd like to do? Let me just pop that into the calendar for you. What time and date would you like that? And then being able to handle that customer for the first 24 hours for you. That's not a dream, by the way. That software exists already. We're already using it. That's already there. And then you've got all of the other areas where AI is being used across multiple different spaces. Of course, this was a Forbes article. Customer service is the biggest one. Obviously, this is an area where AI has to be used the most. We mentioned earlier all of the repetitive and mundane tasks. We learned the example of the security guards. Why are they doing all these repetitive tasks? Because we've no other way to do it. Well, now we do. We can use AI to do those things, free up those people, let them innovate new things. Let's provide better guest services and better ways to introduce our brands by taking all of that noise out of it for us. And of course, we mentioned partnerships, okay? Making sure that your goals align to your partner's goals, not Digicel's goals. Your people, process, and your technology, okay? So you choose the technology that suits your business, your people, your brand, your process. I don't know what the future hotel room will look like. I really hope it's not this. Not sure I want this much technology in my hotel room, but I can tell you one thing, that it is going to be a big difference in how we do things, okay? And no matter what type of customer or guest that you have, right? If they're just sightseeing, if they're there for a working vacation, or if they're just relaxing, we need to start using AI to do these things. We need to start bringing that power. Keep it automated, make it intelligent, and of course, don't lose the personal touch, okay? The humans are still there in the chain. They will never go away, but we can definitely free up more of their time to be more personal. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. As it is not my job to dismiss anyone, I will dismiss the panel, as is my right, and say thank you, gentlemen and lady, for your insights, for taking the time to share with us, and for engaging in this enriching discussion. Thank you all.
But before you go, just to say that I know exactly, and this is exactly the problem, you see. Because there are certain protocols which must be followed, which follow the rules of natural and the principles of natural justice when you are carrying out a termination of employment. As a consequence of that, I do believe that this is the IR model that you should learn to follow. Bless you.
Thank you, Dr. Taylor. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for the panelists. Fantastic conversation, fantastic moderation. It felt like a fireside chat with 4 people. It was amazing. My takeaways, even though we're speaking about AI, take your people with you. I thought that was something that really resonated. Something else, tech is nothing without strategy and inclusion. So you can employ and implement all the technology you want. If you don't have a strategy and you're not including the right people at the right time along the value chain, then you just have technology. AI is not a technical thing, it's a people thing. I thought that was really fantastic. And lastly, build and protect your data brand. So while we're speaking about AI, there's a lot of people talking about building out the data and having the smart data and having access to the data. We hope that people will keep the same energy and consistency when it comes to protecting people's data. Because I promise you, if my data is breached, I'm going to tell everybody not to do business with you. And I'll go further just by saying, if you're not going to even think or plan about protecting people's data, you should not be in business, period. That has to come first. So I absolutely love the conversations. We spoke about tourism and so many other things. Congratulations to the committee and all the members who really put this together. I cannot wait to see this get bigger and bigger and bigger. And certainly, Brian, last thing I will say to you is, because Alex is in the room and Alex is like my AI, he's like Alex Intelligence. And while Brian was saying, don't you want to get, the AI to propose a pitch to you and then say, hey, I'll put it in your calendar and I'll work it out. And I had to look at Alex and say, boy, you kind of look dark, But never, because again, what we want to emphasize here is that AI is not here to replace. It is here to maximize. It is here to optimize. And we got that discussion. We got those really important points from all of the panelists a while ago. Really enjoyed this entire forum. Am I the only one who's excited? Okay, I was just making sure I'm not the only one who was just high on Sandals banana bread. So, that being said, I will hand over the honor of the vote of thanks to be moved by Mrs. Caroline MacDonald Riley. Please make her welcome.
Thank you so much, Madam Moderator. And of course, I'll not stand between you and lunch, because I think that's another great opportunity for us to see what Sandals have in store for us. However, I'd love, on behalf of the Tourism Linkages Network and the GTRMC, to say thank you. It was really wonderful hosting you, and I'm sure we not only learned a thing or two, but we can resonate with what was happening here. We look forward to the next series where we move to another property and we speak about other things. So we're not done here. We're coming with other sets of information. PS, I'd love to perhaps Zoom from the ministry in one of those where we get all of our staff involved to also share with them and hear their perspective. But it was wonderful being here. Thank you so much, my EDs and leaders of the tourism industry. It was our absolute pleasure to host it. My linkages team, take a bow and look forward to seeing you in the next series. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And David, was this your first time to Jamaica?
I came on a cruise ship once.
Doesn't count. It doesn't count. It doesn't count. We wish you. Did I just say it doesn't count in like a hotel? It doesn't count. You have to come. You have to stay. You have to eat your jerk chicken. Okay, no, maybe not. Everyone, we welcome all of you to our shores, no matter what channel you take. No. What I meant to say was, we thank you so very much for coming to our island. We thank you for being our keynote speaker. And in Jamaica, we like to talk about bononononos. We like to give you a bonononos hug, and we want to get bonononos kiss. Just thank you so very much, and we send you back to your very cold city. Oh, no, I'm dismissing right now, but I'm just thanking our keynote speaker who is going to go back to his cold country. Thank you so very much for being here. With that being said, everyone, bon appetit. And for those of you driving back to Kingston, we wish you journeying mercies. Have a great weekend. Take care.